I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary Beth?
Councilwoman Chapman.
Here.
Councilman Deegan.
Here.
Councilman Appuccino.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Albrecht.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Swenson. Here. Town Attorney Warren Wiplansky. All present.
I'd like a motion to accept the agenda as it is.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are no public hearings tonight. I'd like a motion to accept the workshop meeting minutes of 11/4/24.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All official correspondence is on file in the town clerk's office. Tonight, we are having a presentation on the new town hall update from Councilman Reifenberg and Councilman Appuccino.
Okay. Yeah, do you mind just hitting, maybe leave some lights on back there, but turn the lights off up front, please? There you go, perfect. So we just, logistically, just to give a heads up to everybody, this was supposed to be during the discussion items, but we felt like it was important to get the information out in front of the residents, so if anybody wanted to speak on it prior to us doing anything, you at least have the information. So this might be a little longer than a normal presentation. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 14 days, but we'll try to get through it. And I just asked the board that please, if you have any questions on a slide, that you just jump in and address it then, because there is so much information in this presentation that if we wait till the end, it's going to be really cumbersome to try to find it and go back. I'd rather just address the questions then. How we're going to do it is go through this, and then we're going to get into some alternates and stuff like that. We're going to discuss them as a board and make decisions on them later, so I would hold that until later, but any questions I'd probably ask now, because the public might want to know the answers to them before they get up. So I'll jump right in. Councilman Appuccino, please just jump in if you have anything to add. And we have Jonathan from CPL, who's our architect, here tonight as well. So tonight's a huge milestone in the project. Basically, over the last 10 months, we've taken this project from a basic idea to where we're awarding, hopefully, 4 contracts tonight. Tonight, there's a few things that the board has to decide. If we're going to award 4 separate contracts, we have to decide on some alternate items that Councilman Appuccino and myself put into the bids, and we have to finalize the funding for the project. So we'll get right into it. These are kind of the items that we're going to talk about during this presentation. So we'll get right in with our objectives. So when we kind of took over the new town hall committee, the building committee at the beginning of the year, we really wanted to just get going with it, but we did have some objectives in the process. One of them was to control any variables within the construction phase as much as possible and get the highest quality results for the lowest cost to the taxpayers. So our overall goal was to really scrutinize and work with CPL to make sure that we tried to cover all the what-ifs that we could before putting this out to bid, in hopes of eliminating as many change orders that will happen during the construction phase. And what we've seen from other projects, and if you're a builder, that change orders equal an inflated cost to the town. So you hire an electrician, and there's something that we didn't address, and there needs to be a change order. Well, it's probably going to cost us more then than it really should, because they kind of have us at that point. So that was a huge goal of ours when we were going through this. One thing that we required in the bid documents was unit pricing. Basically, what that did is, for example, an electrician in the contract, in the bids, we required, for example, a unit price to install another electrical outlet. The idea behind that is, during construction, we might want to say, hey, we want another electrical outlet that we didn't plan for. We have a set price of what that would be to install that, instead of potentially getting a really inflated price because we need it down the road. We added alternate items, so there's more choice and possible cost savings. So you'll see that we're going to get really into depth. That's really under the general trades contract. We have 10 alternate items in there. And we wanted to maximize the amount of bidders as possible. So Councilman Apicino made sure we were on some of the big websites. We'll get into the bid opening, but we had a huge turnout and received a lot of bids because of the work he put in and through CPL. And we wanted to provide as much information to the bidders equals less change orders. So we ended up adding a second walkthrough to make sure any of the contractors could get back in there if they had more questions. And I forget how many questions you actually received, but it was pages upon pages. Would you say 100 at least? 80 questions were answered between the first walkthrough and the time the bids closed. So we tried to weed out as many things as possible, and it was really helpful. So we'll get to the bid opening. It happened here the election day here at the town hall. I want to thank Mary Beth for spending the time with us to make sure that went smoothly, and the companies that submitted their bids, they put a lot of time and energy into it. We got 25 bidders. That's a high amount. I think you might have said that might have been the most that you've seen. Yeah, so Jonathan, the architect's never seen that amount of turnout for a project before. The turnout exceeded our expectations. I'll give you an idea. I'm not going to mention the town, but there's another town renovating and expanding their town hall. It's public knowledge, but they only received 12 bidders, so we more than doubled what they got. And the more bidders, our philosophy was that the better price we'll end up getting and the better competition between the contractors. So now we're going to get into the 4 prime trades and the 4 different contracts and kind of give you what kind of bids we got, what the range of the bids were, and kind of who the lowest bidder and who we're recommending. Each one of these bidders that we're recommending has a letter from CPL who's vetted them, gone through with them to make sure that they stand behind their bid. So each one of these is recommended from the design team. Emily and Warren's look them over, and you actually have tabulation sheets in front of you that kind of show you all the bid amounts that we received. So we'll start with the electrical contract. We received 7 bids for electrical. They ranged from $971,000 all the way up to a little over $1.5 million. So there's quite a range in there. We're recommending that we award the contract tonight to LBS 2020 Electric. Their bid is $1,020,000. You'll notice that that is not the $971,000 in the range. So there's a second lowest bidder. Obviously, our intention is to always take the lowest bidder, but the lowest bidder formally withdrew the day after the bid opening, and we're currently working through the process with the attorneys to work through all of that. They do have to put up bid bonds to ensure their bids, so we're looking through all of that stuff. I'll leave it at that. For some background, this contractor is working on the Hyde Park Town Hall, which is another project that CPL is working on, so they're very familiar with the electrical contractor, and we are recommending that we award the contract to them. Any questions so far, or any additions? No? If you want to jump in on anything, just stand up. We'll move on to mechanical. So this is all the HVAC stuff. We had 6 bids. There wasn't as quite of a range there. The lowest bidder is S&O Construction Service for $1,221,876. Cool thing is they're actually located right here in Pleasant Valley, so it's a Pleasant Valley company. And surprisingly, they're the contractor who's doing the mechanicals in the Hyde Park Town Hall and working with CPL as well. So we're recommending, this was the lowest bidder, and they're familiar with them, so we're recommending them. Next is the plumbing. 3 bids, $397,000 up to about $500,000. The lowest bidder was S&O Construction again for $397,660. It's the same contractor as the mechanical, and again, they're doing the plumbing, I believe, in Hyde Park as well. So CPL's worked with them, and we're recommending that to the town board. So we're going to get into general trades. This covers the big portion of the project. We have received 9 bids for this, ranging from just under $3 million all the way up to just under $5 million. There was quite the spread, but I'd say that I think it was like the bottom three were fairly close in dollar amount, and then it kind of went all over the place from there. The lowest bidder was Barone. Is that it, Barone or Baroni? Their lowest bid was $2,940,000. Part of that bid was we required them to give us prices for 10 different alternates, and we're going to get into them. And they really were things that Councilman Apicino and CPL and us kind of felt like we wanted to have flexibility in this. If we just kind of did it, we'd kind of be stuck with these items. But this kind of allows the board to kind of decide where they want to end up price-wise. Funny thing is, they're working on the Hyde Park Town Hall as well. So the three contractors that we're recommending tonight, CPL is currently working with them, and they're working for the town of Hyde Park. So just so it's a good visual for you, the total contract cost without any alternate changes, you have the electrical, the mechanical, the plumbing, and the general trades. It comes out to a total of $5,579,536. Now, again, I would add that this does not include any of the alternates, so any of the deductions or additions which we have to figure out. There are other items besides that, let's just call it $5.5 million that we have to take into account. So something that we identified early on was a generator. It was always part of the plan, but it was always going to be put out to the contractors to install. Obviously, if they're buying a generator, they're going to be marking it up, and the taxpayers are going to pay for the markup. So what we did is we worked with CPL to make it in a way that the contractors basically set everything up to receive a generator, and then the town is actually going to be purchasing the generator on our own and having it delivered, and the contractors are required to install it and connect it and everything like that. That will save us, I think you were saying, at least a 20% markup. Just turn your microphone on.
I'd say 30 to 40,000 at least.
Yeah, so that is going to be a cost on top of what we did, but that we did that to save money. We're paying for the appliances, so a refrigerator and a stove and oven. That's separate. The pluses and minuses are more money. The minuses are less money. We will hopefully be receiving some kind of credit from the bid bond for the electrical contractor. We'll be receiving money. One of the things we did and identified during the walkthrough was there was tons of metal that was removed and just kind of laying in piles everywhere. We had the option of just letting the contractors charge us to take it away, but we had worked with the highway superintendent. We got a dumpster up there, and the supervisor had Jason and them go up there and get it all into a dumpster so we can get the scrap money, and we're not paying somebody else to take it away. So that will be something going back. Other items that we have to think about are change orders. Even though we've tried to eliminate as many as possible, we can identify a few parts that we're concerned about that I'm not going to publicly put out there, but there are things that, this is a renovation, so you're not really going to know until they get in there and start taking stuff apart. So there will be change orders that come before the board, and we obviously have to plan for them. And then there's design and attorney fees as well. The next slide, we're going to get into natural gas and court costs. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I just want to take a step back of kind of a timeline of where we were. So when I joined the board, we were talking, I think at the time it was being proposed to spend up to $8.5 million on this. We kind of did a timeout and re-looked at everything because I think the majority of the board at the time didn't feel comfortable spending $8.5 million on this. Or there was potentially, when you're up in that realm of price to 10 million, we could potentially build something. We were able to work together and bring the budget down to 6.5 million is where we ended up landing at. If you remember, it wasn't this board. The only people left are Supervisor Albrecht and myself. But back in August of 2023, the board passed a resolution that had a few parts to it. One was bonds, and one was just the total funding of the project. And at that time, we funded it for $6.5 million. We obviously, we had CPL. I think we had them go out to a contractor and kind of get an idea from them of how much they would charge us for the project. I think that's how we got the numbers down, because I think they came in the realm of about $5.5 million. So that kind of, we reworked the numbers and we came up with the 6.5. The next slides, I'm going to go through two big things that we didn't take into account when we passed that resolution, which is causing us tonight to look at a resolution of potentially funding a little bit more. So we're going to talk about natural gas and court costs. So we did the resolution for $6.5 million for funding. That was made up of bonds, grant, and fund balances. I think at the time we talked about we have unassigned fund balance that we could always tap into if we needed it. We don't need to take all of the bonds that the bond amount we put in there, so it left us wiggle room. So one thing that we found out and we addressed once we kind of took over was that there was this idea that there was potentially natural gas running to the building up there. Obviously, most people know that natural gas is efficient. It's cheaper than, you know, heat pumps and all this other stuff. So when we found out there was no natural gas, obviously the cost is going to go up. We decided to do heat pumps, which are electrically ran. The hope is maybe down the line, the town can work with a solar company to potentially put freestanding solar and offset some of the cost for that. Hopefully, maybe we can apply for more grants. We didn't get the one that we were trying for, but that was a significant increase across at least mechanical and electrical that was not taken into account with the $6.5 million.
I'd like to add something to that. Just so you have a feel of what transpired with that. I mean, when not having natural gas, every trade got impacted and the cost went up. I mean, the electrical service was a 600 amp service that existed that had to be changed to a 1200 amp service. The generators are 350 kW, that more than doubled in size. The electrical went up because of all the additional sub panels that are required. The mechanical went up considerably. So I looked at it to be a minimum of at least a $700,000 add to the project's budget. So for us to bring this budget in the way it is, it just shows by getting a lot of bidders. There was local people who wanted the job. We had a tremendous walkthrough. When we buy the generator, we can also buy that on a state bid, get a better price than the contractor would get. So there's a lot of things we did to make up that money and keep it within budget. Every trade was impacted. Like I said, even the carpentry trade. I mean, there's more pads for the heat pumps. I mean, everybody got affected, and we made it up. So it's fortunate enough. Besides having 25 bidders, how many contractors are actually downloaded the drawings? Was it 50, 60? Yeah. So it just shows we had a lot of interest, and we had a really good walkthrough. We had a second walkthrough, and that's how it, you know, tightens up the numbers, fortunately. Thank you.
So he kind of hit on it, but the another thing of that was the generator. I think we only had 100,000 potentially set aside for that. That went up significantly, especially if we're trying to use this space as a heating or cooling center or a shelter. Obviously, if everything falls apart, we want to be able to heat or cool the location. So we need a generator that will run all of that. So that drove up the cost as well.
Too, Michael, is the original proposal, having natural gas, the combined plumbing, electrical, and mechanical was 700,000, a little over 700,000. Our mechanical bid is almost twice that.
Yeah.
So it just shows conservatively, it went up $700,000. So by making up that difference the way we have, and with some alternates, I think it's working out very well for the town.
Another kind of thing that caught us off guard was the court. The New York State Court required a full redesign of the entire the entire I'd say at least half of the downstairs, which added tons of extra costs that we never took into consideration back in the middle of August of 2023 before we were on the building committee. We had a dilemma to deal with. Do you redesign the whole thing and add the cost, which allows us to take and apply for these grants every year through them, or do you just keep it where it was? And working with the courts and everybody, we decided to redesign it, knowing that there would be an initial cost to that. Councilman Apicino's kind of hit on all of this already, but we, with the talks of the two of us, we expected this number to come in much higher than what it did. I think we were in a position to think that we might have pushed to even send this out to a rebid. So the fact that we got the numbers where this contractor came in before the natural gas stuff and before the redesign of the courts, I think we're very fortunate to where we're in the position we're at, and that's why we're confident that we can make the case that we should make a slight increase to the funding of the project. I'll give you an idea. I'm not going to say the project, but there's a project happening in Dutchess County where it's over $800 a square foot. And it's no fault to anybody. It's just that's how the bids came in. So we're very fortunate, we feel, where we're at right now.
The other thing, Michael, is the timing. You know, contractors are looking for work, especially inside work for the winter. The school projects have all come to an end, so our timing was really right on the mark in getting this job started.
So we're going to get into the general trade alternates. This is, I think, the most important part, and we moved this to the beginning of the meeting. There's not many people here, but I would hope that you would pay attention to them, and really during the public comment, obviously it's not a Q&A, and my hope is that the board, if you have any questions going through these, please ask them now, so maybe it clarifies stuff for whoever's here and watching. What I don't think we should be doing is discussing if you're in favor or against an alternate at this point. Just ask your questions, we'll go through the information, and then I would hope that some residents would maybe get up and give us a comment of what they think we should be doing or not doing. Obviously, we're not going to do a Q&A on these things, but it would be nice to hear. You'll see some of these are pretty straightforward, but it'd be nice to hear if they would want us to spend the money on certain items or not spend the money on others. So I'm going to jump into that. Please jump in and stop me if you have questions on something. So, yeah, go ahead.
Before you start, just a question. First off, great job, guys. The logic that you used on the generator, I think that's a great idea. Were there any other areas to be able to do that? Are you gonna?
Yeah, so one of the alternates is actually for the benches, there's that, the appliances, we did that for. Anything that we could handle that was pretty straightforward. The demo, the what? Yeah, like the metal stuff, that was a savings to the town. So alternate one that we required in the general trades bid was to provide and install a standing seam metal roof. It was basically asking them to give us a price to provide a metal roof on any location on drawings where we're calling for shingles would be metal roofing instead. Part of the base bid, the only portion of the base bid, and correct me if I'm wrong, that has a metal roof is the clock tower on the front has a metal roof. No matter what we do, that will have a metal roof. The rest of everything is planned to have shingles, so we asked for a price to do everything else that has shingles and a metal roof.
They're 30-year shingles? The age of the shingles?
So, yeah, they're 30-year shingles in the base bid. So the general trade bid that we're recommending asked for an increased base bid of $285,000 to do metal on every single spot that there's shingles.
Michael, I would explain something on that also. The metal roof, there's a couple of different methods. If you look at fire station number 1, you look at their roof, the green roof. That's called a PBR. It's a bolt-down roof. When you get to lower pitches, you're better off going with a standing seam roof, which is quite a bit more money. So the roof we have figured for the new town hall would have to be a standing seam rather than a bolt-down, and it looks better, and it's going to be more money though, but it's a better choice.
So that's alternate one, and I'm going to get into diagrams after I show you two other alternates. And we're going to kind of jump around because alternate 6 and alternate 7 kind of go with the roof theme. So alternate 1 for 285,000, you do the entire building basically with standing seam metal roof. Alternate 6, we had them actually break out just doing a metal roof on the front entrance overhang only. Again, I'm going to show you some pictures so you can kind of visualize what we're talking about. So this would be just metal roofing on that one overhang. All other roofs would be shingles, and they wanted an increase of $11,000 to do the front entryway.
I just wanted to point out, alternate 1 covers the cost of everywhere. So alternate 6 and 7, those numbers are not in addition to alternate 1 if you pick alternate 1.
Yeah, so 6 and 7 go out the window if we award alternate 1. Good point. Alternate 7 is a metal roof on just the rear entrance, which is really the main entrance to the office space of the new town hall. All other roofs would be shingles unless you did some kind of variation here. For the rear entryway, they want $5,800 increase to do that. So I'm going to kind of show you a picture now. So, yeah, it's not going to work very well. But on this, you can kind of see the front of the building, and you can see the shingles across the top there. But what I really want to point out is the main entrance for the first floor there with the clock tower. I'm going to show you a side profile in a couple slides, but just remember that. That's what we're talking about for the front entrance, is that area there. The rear portion of the building, you have that gabled roof on the left. That's the main entrance to the office space. The right entrance is an employee-only entrance. So the main entrance that's going to be used most of the time is going to be that left side. And when we're talking about alternate 7, the price for that is just to put metal on that gable. And you can kind of see the rest of the shingled areas. You can see the other peaks there. That would all become metal if you did alternate 1. I threw this one in here to kind of show you now. You can kind of see, ignore the left-hand side because that doesn't show you the rear. That's showing you the employee entrance. But on the right here, you can see the clock tower has metal roofing no matter what, and then the shingles that you're seeing there, that would be alternate 6 to change that to metal roofing. And then in the rear, on the far right there, you can see the entrance there now, and you see the section there that would be metal roofing. So if you go with 6 or 7, the area that the big portion of the roof would remain shingles, and you would only do either the front or the back or both. So does anybody have any questions on that? I'll show you this really quick. So just so I can put the totals out there of what you're looking at. These are the different combinations you can do. Is metal everywhere, it's 285,000. Metal roofing only on the front for 11. Metal roofing only on the rear for 5,800. Or the front and the rear entrances only for 16,800. Any questions?
Is there a functional reason to do the front or rear, or is it aesthetic?
Aesthetic.
Thank you,
The,
Jonathan. Go ahead, Dan.
The roofing you had mentioned, the acronym, I don't know, PBR or something, is that corrugated? Is that what's known as corrugated roofing?
No, when you buy it,
Microphone.
there's flat panels, I'm sorry, when you buy the metal roof and there's flat panels, the PBR is the same panel, but what it is it overlaps where the standing seam is, and it just gets bolted right there together with a rubberized washer on the bolt. And that's what's on Pleasant Valley if you go by and you look at it. The lower roof is a standing seam roof because of the very low pitch.
So corrugated would have a pattern like this throughout.
Any other questions about this? We'll discuss obviously what our feelings are on this later, but any questions? No? Okay. So we'll come back to these slide presentations and go through it again and make decisions during the meeting. So we'll start off with alternate 2 now. So alternate 2, let me back up a little bit. On the first floor where the meeting room is in the courtroom, we had planned to have polished concrete in some common areas and some smaller areas. We wanted to break out how much it would cost, if it would be an increase or a decrease, if we went with some tiles or some vinyl flooring. So we threw that in as an alternate to give the board an opportunity to look at that. So the base bid is polished concrete floors in the kitchen, the courtroom storage, the hallways, the first floor lobby, and first floor bathrooms would all be polished concrete. With this alternate, and Councilman Apicino, I think do you have the samples? So the first one, it would be a 1 foot by 2 foot ceramic tile, and this would go in the lobby, hallways, and bathrooms. That's the, yeah, it's gonna be larger than that, obviously, but that's what we're talking about with this alternate, is that would be installed in basically the public areas, the lobby, the hallways, and the bathrooms. And then vinyl tile, commercial tile, would be installed in the kitchen and the courtroom storage area, and that's what it looks like there. It's commercial grade. Yeah, if you want to give the rest of the board members the time to. So, I think this actually surprised both Councilman Apicino and myself. I'm not sure of CPL, but with this alternate, the contractor came in and said it would actually be a savings of $14,000 if the town installed the tile and the vinyl flooring instead of the polished concrete. So that's a decision we have to make tonight, is if you want this or remain with the polished concrete. The polished concrete is in the base bid that we have. You could save $14,000 by changing to this.
So there was also another reason we wanted to look at alternate floors for those areas. So in order to do the polished concrete, we would have to demo whatever floor system was throughout the different spaces that are currently there, and that's an unknown that we can't control. Chances are the floor is okay under it, but we just don't know. If we're going with a new floor, we can completely control this is what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, and that gets back to change orders, is that with the polished concrete, we're gonna be taking walls and stuff out, and there's no way for us to know what's under them or how they're all put together. So there might potentially be, is there a potential for a higher risk of a change order because there's more unknown?
There could be.
than-
There could be cracking that we may not know that's there. We don't know where the control and expansion joints have been installed under that flooring.
Yeah, the reason with the ceramic tile, it's a 1 by 2, and if the floor's got some imperfections, some chips and such, by the time you put the mud down, you still got to prep the floor. By the time you put the mud down, it just covers all that to support the tile.
And this layout up here, it's hard to see. I wish I had like something to point them out, but the areas that have it circled kind of show where this alternate would happen. So the hallways, the lobby, the storage area, the kitchen, and the bathrooms. Is there anything else I missed on there, Jonathan? No?
Jonathan, one of the reasons we were going to go with the polished floor was because they're high traffic areas. And one of the, on the town board asked me about the slip rating on the ceramic tile. And the commercial grade tile, they do have to have a slip rating, correct? Should we explain that?
Correct, yeah. Well, I'm not sure where the sample is, but you can feel it's not that one, no. It is a tile that's rated for this type of use to be installed in a public space with high traffic.
Any other?
So if things, fell on this, this isn't gonna crack?
No. I mean, within reason. You drop a weight on it, yes.
Because this seems better as far as slipperiness than this. This seems pretty slick.
I can't see where you're pointing at. Oh,
The vinyl.
so that's in the non-public areas.
Yeah,
That's
so
in like the
that's-
storage.
That's only in the courtroom, storage area, and the kitchen. The rest of the areas, the public spaces, are basically that ceramic tile.
Okay, all right.
The bathrooms, the hallways, the lobby.
Yeah, I like this.
But,
And-
so as a mother, I would think that the vinyl's probably easier to clean.
Not if you use dark grout. Right?
Yeah, we've discussed going with a gray grout, not a white grout, because a white grout
Yeah.
will show everything.
Any other questions about this alternate before we move on?
No.
Okay, and we'll discuss it more. Alternate 3 and 4 kind of go together. I have some pictures that go with these as well. Alternate 3 was a price for a 1.5-inch asphalt overlay in the rear parking area. So you'll see in alternate 4, we have milling. Milling's not required as there's new sidewalks being installed and there's no islands or existing curbing we're dealing with back there. They're asking for an increase to the base bid of $60,000 to put a 1.5-inch asphalt overlay in. The other option, just being realistic and putting everything out there, is you could seal the parking lot if the town doesn't want to put new asphalt down. I will put a caveat to that, is that we spent, I don't remember how much money to seal this town hall parking lot, and I think it's only been maybe not even 2 years, and it needs to be done again and striped again, and
Yeah.
so
I just wanted to point out, sealing is in the base bid of the project.
it is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Do you know the square footage of this area? Ballpark?
So it was marked out on the map, yeah.
I
mean,
don't have the numbers with me.
It was designated and drawn out so they could see what separates the rear and the front area. Here's some pictures that I took today, just so you can kind of see, if you haven't been up there, from both directions of what we're kind of talking about. So that's alternate 3 for $60,000. Alternate 4 is 1.5-inch milling and 1.5-inch asphalt overlay. And the difference, and this is for the front parking area, the difference is that milling's required if you're going to do this in the front because you have the islands and the curbs. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so the difference we have between the front and the rear is in the front, we have concrete curbs, concrete sidewalks, and if we were to raise 1.5-inch asphalt on what's there, we would shorten the height of the curb, which is creating a tripping issue. In the back, we don't have these curbs, we just have asphalt curbs or just straight to the brush and grass in the back. It is highly recommended that you mill in the front, that way after you're done paving and putting the new asphalt down, it's at the same elevation it currently is today.
And I have a picture of that in the next couple of slides here. So to do the front milling and the asphalt, they're asking for $112,000 extra. So this is the front parking lot, just so you can get an idea if you haven't been up there in a while. So this is the curbs that would remain. That, obviously if you put another 1.5 inches of asphalt on there, that curve would be pretty small. We just wanted to point out, and correct me if I'm wrong, fixing things like this are not included in the base bid?
No, this would, because you'd be removing the asphalt around it and you can re-pitch towards it.
No, I'm saying if we didn't do the alternate.
No, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, all we would be doing is sealing around it.
So I just want to point out so the board has all the information. If you don't do the alternates for correcting, not correcting, but putting the asphalt down and stuff, there are things like this that we would have to spend money on to fix. So this is when you start going up the hill on the right-hand side. Things like this would have to be fixed that are not included in the cost. So to have the picture of everything, there are some other costs if you decide just to stay with the base bid.
Yeah, otherwise it's gonna look like a patchwork quilt, right?
You have to fix, I mean,
Yeah, you
can't
have to
leave.
fix it, cause I've been up there.
Yeah, you can't leave these things, if you're redoing the whole building and the parking lot and stuff. So that's 3 and 4. It's basically paving. Alternate 5, we asked for a price. You can see here, That's the main meeting room on the first floor. Basically, around the outside of the meeting room, I would say it's something like this, basically, right?
Basically that, just not as much of a transition.
Yeah, so there's going to be a section that hangs down more, not as dramatic as this, but that's where mechanicals and stuff are going to be ran in the lower meeting room. And then what we had planned in the base bid is 4x4 acoustical ceiling tiles in the center, which is highlighted by red. So what we did is we put an alternate in, asking them to give us a price to change out the 4x4 tiles to 2x2 tiles, and that was a decrease in the base bid of 19,000. So if you go from the 4x4 to the 2x2 tiles, you can save $19,000. Any questions on that before we move forward?
I understand the difference, but the design of it, was the 4x4, did they have like beveled edge and stuff? And then the 2x2 doesn't have anything at all, it's just like plain like this? It's
So
like this?
the 2x2 would be this. This is 2x4, but
No, I
2x2
know.
would basically be this. The 4x4 has a minimal track system that you would see. You would still see it, but it wouldn't be as prominent as what you're seeing here. It would kind of hang down and cover the edge a little.
So I think it would be more aesthetically pleasing, the 4x4 compared to the 2x2.
Yeah.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, in this room, there's also the linear lights. I don't have it on here, but I think I remember.
Yes.
So you do have, in the meeting room, long, narrow lights. So you do have some horizontal lines if you're really getting into the design of this. I don't know if that was taken into account by the interior designer of maybe less lines.
No, the same lights would be installed the same way, because at the end of the day, it's the same type of grid going up. They would fall within the grid. The light fixtures would be flush like what you're seeing here, but they're only about this wide, and the length, we go through the whole length of the room.
So it's a pretty nice look. So
Okay.
that's,
So it breaks it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
What
alternate.
we were trying to achieve with the 4x4 tiles is we have a higher ceiling, so as you're looking up, it's higher up. A 2x2 is it's historically done in a smaller 9-foot ceiling, 8-foot ceiling, so the 4-foot higher I think we are close to 13 feet there. It's more aesthetically pleasing, but the question is it worth the extra cost?
Yeah, so it's $19,000 more basically to put the 4x4.
Jonathan, I had a question on the 4x4s. I know I looked at the details today from the manufacturer. My question is, getting the tiles out, if you have to go up there and do some work in the future, can you lift these 4x4 tiles out? They seem to be like a grid system. It's almost like a spleen. You have to put them together. How do you get above the ceiling if you had to?
You can. I don't think they're as easy to remove as these would be, which could potentially lead to issues with chipping tiles if the wrong person's doing it and not knowing what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's alternate 5, so there is some maybe,
I'm saying one thing. The 2x2 is going to be the same 2x2 we're using on the rest of the floor in some areas?
Correct.
And that's, can you explain what that tile is?
It's
Armstrong?
Armstrong Tegeler, but that's what our basis of design is. That's not a guarantee that's the product that we're going to receive. Because it's a public project, we can't say that you have to provide this specific product. So we could get an equivalent substitute from another ceiling tile company.
Correct, but is it a matte finish? I mean, is it a fancier finish than a kind of a normal like this?
It's more like this.
It is, okay.
okay, we're gonna jump from alternate 5 to alternate 8 because we talked about 6 and 7 with the roof. So alternate 8 is, we wanted to get a price to fix some of the curbing on the, around the parking lot. So this provides up to 200 linear feet of curbing, and it would be an increased bid of $7,000. I just want to show you some pictures from today. So this is what we're talking about, is there's some areas of the curb that are just broken up. This is another section. I believe that's what this alternate would repair some of that.
There's also small areas where there is no curb as well, and it would be providing a curb in that area for a consistent appearance.
So that's that alternate. It's $7,000 more to do that. Any questions?
What's the footage of the curbing for the whole plot? I mean, how much of that is, are you replacing all of it at 200 feet, or what's the?
No, so part of the asphalt alternate is we have a design that goes over the existing curb. So this is only replacing in damaged areas.
So you're basically saying that if we're doing the alternates that replace the parking lot, they're going to put stuff up over top of the existing curbs?
Correct.
But we would want to, obviously, if we're going to do that, we'd want to do alternate 8 to repair it before they do that?
Well, yeah, because if there's no curb there, then it wouldn't cover, obviously, going over that profile.
Okay.
Yeah, we had this discussion with Greg also, the curbing, if you go to the roads we just finished in town, especially Valerie Lane, Patricia Drive, they're doing what they call now a kick-up curb, country curb. It goes up, it's smooth. It's not the standard curb you've seen for years, so that's what this would accomplish.
Okay, we'll move on to alternate 9 now. Alternate 9 is, so currently, you'll see a picture, the next picture here. In the courtroom, we have, and you can see in here the red section of the courtroom is designed to have, I believe you brought a sample, right? Is designed to have a wood finish in the center area, and I'll show you a picture of that. We put an alternate in to replace that wooded area with 2x2 acoustical ceiling tiles. It decreases, if we decide to do that, the base bid by $53,000. This is what the mock-up of the new courtroom looks like with the wood ceilings. So basically, you would take that center area, and that would just, I believe those are 2x2 currently on the sides, right? So you'd still keep the difference in elevation. Is the wood lower than the side there?
Yes, the wood's lower, and we would keep that same profile, so you still have that linear appearance that that ceiling is achieving. The only difference is the finish and material.
Yeah, so you would still have the different elevations, just the wood would be changed out to the 2x2 acoustical tiles. So just to recap on that, alternate 9 would decrease the base bid by $53,000. Any questions about that one?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add is either ceiling we go with, we're still gonna have the lineal light fixtures that are gonna be flush, so they're gonna look so much nicer than what you have here. They're like a 4-inch light that goes across the whole room, and that's staying no matter what ceiling we do.
Correct.
Was that just a design thing for that room?
Yeah, so
Or did
these-
they, because
The court didn't
Because
require
this
this,
has
right?
quite the backing on it for like noise and stuff.
Yeah,
Is that,
this was not a OCA requirement. This was just a design element that we worked out during our design process.
So it's just an aesthetic thing and the court's not requiring it? Okay.
No, what OCA cared about is the safety of the courtroom and anybody who's staffed with the court system.
Okay.
So this would do nothing to help that.
How does it impact the acoustics of the room?
One versus the other.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a huge difference because of the backing on that. I mean, acoustic ceiling tile will be no different than what you get in here.
Yeah, I think we actually had
Or a
that
courtroom.
conversation with, her name?
Brittany.
Brittany.
Jonathan, I thought this was, I don't know if this backing is gonna be there. I thought it was a spleen ceiling where you snap into a metal track, and the spaces in between, actually, you could look right up into the ceiling above.
I think that may have been a different product we were looking at the time.
Yeah, I think that might have been Phil for the lobby area.
I think she was looking at metal that had a wood appearance to it.
You're right, it was metal. But I thought this was actually gonna be a metal also. It was a coated or something.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So it will have this backing on it.
Yeah, and the tiles that are going up are acoustical tiles as well. So she had already designed the acoustical tiles to be on the side. I think when the conversation of all this, it was more an aesthetic type of, to break up some of what you had going on in here.
It's also playing off, we have a lot of wood paneling with the court bench and where the jury sits, and it was just bringing more wood throughout the room.
And that is changing from this picture. So all of these metal chairs you see are actually going to be handcrafted exactly to what we need, wooden benches. That was one of the changes that came out of the meetings with New York State. And it's actually a good segue into alternate 10 because it's about the wooden benches. So alternate 10 was court benches. So before we put this out to bid, Councilman Apicino reached out to a company that builds court benches for courts. And we got a quote from them. It's prevailing wage and everything else. And our quote came in at $23,407 to basically come in. They'll do all the measuring, they'll do all the planning, they'll build them exactly to what we need. They'll come and install them for that amount. So we wanted to put the alternate in there to have an idea of, is it cheaper for us to just hire somebody and they can just go do it? Or is it easier and cheaper for the general trades contract to do it? And you'll see they're requiring an increase of $32,000. So we might get a lower price than $23,000, but just if we went with this one person we got a quote on, it's about a $9,000 savings by breaking this out in an alternate. So this one I'll give my opinion on is we probably should not award alternate 10 because the town will save close to $10,000 by not including.
Yeah, I reached out to the company that was specified, had this conversation with Jonathan, and I spoke with him several times and through emails, and they said what they do is they install it, they actually come to the site, they do a CAD drawing, they do an as-built to make sure that the benches fit in perfectly with the walls that are there, and then they come and install them. So basically once, we contract with them, the rest is up to them.
You're also guaranteed that product if you were to purchase it versus what the contractor would offer as either that or an equivalent.
So those are the 10 alternates. We're going to obviously come back to this during our discussion because we're going to have to make decisions as boards on each one of these. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask?
Those benches, can those benches actually move around at all?
So I think that was the requirement,
Because-
right? Was that the benches, they didn't want things to be able to move, right?
They didn't want them to be able to move, but I find it hard to believe someone would pick a 12-foot long bench up and
These
Move
are
it,
these are
maneuver it.
wooden solid benches.
that was why they didn't want the chairs, which was the original direction we were given from the town.
Believe it or not, I was thinking more from the cleaning end of it,
Yeah.
because
Well, so this room is also, I believe it's carpeted. So it'd be vacuuming.
oh, it is, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
for acoustical reasons.
so that's easier to get with,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other
you.
questions before we move on to the last
On the
thing?
benches, some of them, I think they're like 12-foot, there's a couple of 8-footers, most of them are 12, 14 feet, so they're pretty long benches. And the only question I had, and I brought this up with the architects and the interior designer, the metal roof, I just wanted to make sure that the light output wasn't going to be affected by having a darker ceiling, and she felt that the lighting wasn't going to be an issue in the courtroom.
So the last thing I just wanted to touch upon is give an update to the board. You guys allowed me to go out with an RFP to companies to request construction managers for the job. We put it out in the bids that we're going to have a construction manager. So I've reached out to just under 10 companies. I wish there was more local companies, but it spanned from national companies down to, one or two very local companies. You'd be surprised, they're very difficult to get a hold of. Most of the websites don't have email addresses. They have phone numbers, and you call the phone number and leave a message, and nobody picks up, and nobody calls you back, and nobody responds to your emails. So I've had zero luck getting anybody to respond to our RFP with this. If anybody knows anybody or any other companies that I potentially missed, if it's a local company that you know about, I probably already reached out to them. But we need to award the contracts, I believe, with a construction manager. So I'm working with Emily and Warren to figure out some other options that we can do. And I just wanted to let the board know that I did have CPL on my own. I reached out to them to give me an estimate of what they've seen on other jobs of a price of how much we're expecting to potentially have to pay. And Jonathan sent that over to me, and I've given that to the clerk to put into the documentation of that it's just on the record of what they estimate this to be. But yeah, if anybody knows anybody, let me know. Any other questions? I know that it was 50 minutes, but I think it was important to really go through this in detail before we start awarding stuff and doing crazy things, not crazy things, but other stuff. We're going to go through the alternates again and go through that stuff, but anything before we move on? I appreciate you
I don't
guys.
think so. That was good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Phil. Okay, on to the public comment. I would like a motion to open the public comment section of the meeting for agenda items only, 3 minutes per person.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gary Veter, South Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. I didn't mention, I didn't hear anything about painting on that. Is that all included? I would really suggest that you talk to the people that are in the offices now and let them give input. You get a lot happier women. You have an item on the agenda here for approximately $40,000 for expansion of cable. I think that's a very dangerous precedent. Do we know how many unserviced areas there are in Pleasant Valley? Because once you do it, how are we going to have to do the other areas too? So I honestly think that's more a personal thing. There are other things for cable. You can have satellites, dish, and so forth, but to spend $10,000 each for 4 houses is questionable to me. The nice presentation on what has been going on and the work that has been done. I remember when we did this town hall, we had meetings where people could ask questions and get answers. I'm sorry that was really not done in this as good as it was back then. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Scott Cookingham, Salt Point. Great job with, the new town hall. Just a couple things I see going over with the alternate 2 and that with the tiles and stuff like that. I know at the high school that they have all the tile out there, so I know you mentioned, Ms. Albrecht, about like if something falls on it, if it does crack, it can crack, okay? So if that's the route you're gonna, I'd make sure we get some extra tiles. Same thing with the ceiling tiles. Prime example, last week we had somebody at the high school above my classroom pulled a lovely water shower, which they have no drains, so that water came down through my jewelry room, so it took out about 17 of these 2x4 tiles, so having those, some of those tiles of whatever you do choose, having extras, because when, God forbid, there's a leak or something gets up there or whatever, you're not gonna be able to find the same ones to make it, you know, look as nice, because once it's done, it's gonna look beautiful, but 5 years down the road, it'd be nice to have a tile, especially those 4x4 tiles, Mr. Ipacino brought up. I know with having to go in after, if, you know, technology changes and they decide to do fiber optics or something, you know, and you gotta stretch things, those 4x4 tiles are definitely not gonna be easy for one person to try to lift up and work above, so that's all. But, and the other thing is the for the actual curbing, was that asphalt only or concrete? Because I see the pictures that Mr. Reifenberg took on the right side, that's all asphalt ones, but unfortunately, in another, hopefully, 2 months, we'll get that white stuff called snow, but when the trucks go up there, the asphalt curbs don't last. I mean, when they're going up, that's why you have concrete, so I'm just wondering, I mean, you can replace them today, and tomorrow, you know, we get a good storm and they hit those, you know, blacktop ones, they're gonna do the same thing, that's all. So if you know, I didn't know if it's gonna be concrete going all the ways up just to make sure to protect it the same way, just because of plows and that. So, and I agree with the milling, so you keep the concrete ones there. So that's all, but everything else, I mean, the design looks great. The last time, I know, Mr. Deegan put on the actual different pictures and that, maybe the slideshow, Mike, we could put that, and then also just highlight the different things like you were saying with the alternates and that, so then that way the people at home can see, you know, the actual, you know, because you have the pictures, what the standing seam's gonna be and where they're gonna be compared to the shingles and stuff like that. That's all, but great job by all of you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like a motion to close the public comment portion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On to new business discussion. We need permission for the clerk to advertise for the Katie Field basketball court. So I'd like a motion on the floor to give them permission to advertise.
So moved?
Second, before we vote, can you just explain to me what that is?
Yeah, so this
Yeah,
is,
go ahead.
this is, now we're at the stage of, we have the, MJ Engineering gave us the drawings, which I'll probably put this on the website now that I think about it. But we have a design that's gonna go out to bid, should happen in the next month. We're expecting it to be done by the 20th, but we'll have numbers from contractors to do the new basketball court, out on Katy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 12B is the ethics code change. We were asked by the Ethics Committee for a much-needed update of our code, and our attorney, Warren Raplansky, has done that. So we have a resolution in the bottom part to update, go to a public hearing for updating our ethics code. Old business discussion. Discussion for approving a cable television renewal agreement between Spectrum Northeast LLC and the town of Pleasant Valley. You're up, Warren.
Okay, I think we've had now 2 public hearings, and we've been discussing the franchise agreement for many, many months. We've made changes to the agreement, reflecting comments that we received from the public and from the board members. And I think we were in a position, close the public hearing. Sorry. Done? Okay. We have closed the public hearing. We now have the franchise agreement in final form. So it's ready to be approved by the town board tonight, if they so wish.
Thank you. Okay, 13B, new town hall update.
We don't need
Councilman
that.
Reifenberg.
We don't need that one. We
I
just
know.
need the next one.
But
I've already
I wanted
updated.
to read it because it's on everybody's agenda. Okay, and 13C is new town hall alternates.
Okay, so, we'll try to get through this fairly quickly, but now we need to go alternate by alternate and kind of discuss them and then vote on if we want to approve it or not, take the alternate, so I can tally up what we're doing and have a total for our resolution later. So I guess I'll just start with the roof. If everybody's good, I'll go to the slide that shows you all the different options. So these are your options. You can leave it as it is, which just is shingles everywhere, and it's zero extra cost. Or you can do metal roofing everywhere. You could do a metal roof just on the front entrance, just on the rear, or just the front and the rear with the rest being shingles. So I will let you guys start the discussion of what you guys are thinking.
Okay. You know how I love metal roofs, so aesthetic-wise, I think that we should at least put the metal roof on the front entrance. I think the picture of it looks completely different. Yeah, on the front of the building, I think it should have not the whole thing, just the very front. Do you have that picture of the front?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
just
the
the
side
one front.
profile of it.
Yeah,
And then this is.
That one.
that one.
Yeah, so you're not gonna see it looking straight at the building. You would only see it on the sides like this.
No, but the very front,
That's what I'm showing you, yeah.
the very front has the board and batten kind of look to it, the metal roof.
Like
Yeah,
with the
that-
clock tower.
Isn't that the
So that board
the
and batten.
monetary difference?
Yeah, so the board and batten's there no matter what. What I'm saying is only the section from the side. You would see the metal roof from the side.
Oh, no,
You're not gonna see, I mean,
no, I just like the front, the look of the front.
Yeah,
I
you're
knew
just-
that the top of the clock tower would have it, but the very front over the doors there,
that's what I'm showing you.
You're talking about the triangle that's facing you? What would that material be, Mike, above the door?
The what?
That's not,
That's board and batten.
board and batten, but isn't that metal? Or is that,
Yeah, so this angle here, that's what I'm showing on the right. That shingle is what the alternate is for, which you're not, I mean,
no,
looking at it from the front, you're realistically probably not gonna see the roof because the sides are
No.
on, they're sloped
The
to the left and right.
the board and batten look on the front, is that metal or is that board and batten?
That's hardy plank,
It's hardy plank.
that's just the vertical face. That's the gable end of the roof over the entrance.
That has nothing, that is not the,
Is-
that's not a roof.
Yeah.
So
I-
it's hard to
no, I
tell
know,
from
but
this.
I
That's-
thought that, yeah, that's what I thought it was.
So those lines, that is just a stripe, that's just the wall of the gable. What you're talking about with the alternate is the shingles that are on both sides coming down from that peak.
Yeah, no.
So
Okay.
realistically, you'll only see the metal if you're standing on the right or the left
No,
looking at
scratch
the
that,
peak.
no. I like the front to be like a little bit of a different shade, like you're thinking,
Yes.
from the shingles. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, so that's the board and batten, that's the
Right.
wall, the side.
yeah, no,
you can also get different colors for shingles that look pretty nice.
Which I think
Right.
is part of the, yeah, we haven't even picked out colors, so that's all part of the process.
I don't know. Don't come for me, but I actually like all metal roofing, so. But don't come for me. I like all metal. Yeah, that's why I said, don't come for me. Yes.
So the metal will have a longer life expectancy with the asphalt shingle as long as it's maintained.
So are you saying there's maintenance that's required compared to a shingle roof?
With metal roofs, you can apply a finish after a certain amount of time that'll extend the life, and you can get up to about 50 years out of it. The asphalt shingle that we specified has a 30-year lifespan. So they're both long-lasting,
It's up to 30, correct?
correct, with a manufacturer's warranty along with it.
That's usually based on having the proper ventilation on your roof and a lot of other variables.
And part of the requirements per our specs is the contractor that's installing it has to get the manufacturer to warranty it, so that means when the product's done, it has to be installed per manufacturer's warranty or we'll reject it. So when they leave, you will have a properly installed roof.
Does the metal has 50-year warranty?
It can have up to, not from day one.
Okay.
So does anyone propose any of these combinations, or are we all thinking we just want to stay with shingles?
Well, I think the metal roof aesthetically does a good job. I mean, if you look at Pleasant Valley Fire Station, how many years it's been there, the roof hasn't changed a bit. It's just if you forget about the two alternates to take the two small roofs, it brings the 285 down to 268,200. But it's a big add to our budget, so that's what has to be considered.
Yeah. Me personally, I'll be the last to give my opinion, is that I think it's mostly aesthetics, and I'd rather put that money, if we're going to put it into something that the residents could actually benefit from. I like metal roofs myself, but I just don't know if it's worth $285,000. So, yep, stand by. So I'll start with this one. So the alternate with just the metal roof on this is the entryway on the left. That's exposed beam type overhang there, and this is showing on the right there. We're talking about just the shingled area to the right, not the area up above or anything like that.
So if we did the front metal and the back metal, just the entrances,
Those are what you would see,
right?
is the far left and the far right, and you would have shingles everywhere else.
I mean, it's a compromise if we did the entrances
Yeah,
in metal.
that's true. The only problem is that you see it from the side. So it's like, oh, when you go there, drive, don't forget to look at it from the side. I don't know if it's worth it for that. I was thinking the whole front would look like that.
Yeah, so there's no,
But
like,
it's too expensive.
like how they currently have
Yeah.
the front slope, there's
Yeah.
no overhang anymore there. All of that front sloping roof is gone during the
Right.
construction, so it's only the peak down, which is only gonna be seen from the left or right.
Yeah,
The only roof, I think, exposed from the front is the main roof itself. So, does any, go ahead.
The only other thing I would throw out there is the likelihood of that building doing solar at some point to offset its costs would be high. There's property in the back. If you do shingles with solar, you have to penetrate the roof, which isn't a big deal, but you do. Whereas with the standing seam, you bolt on, so you don't actually penetrate the roof. If we didn't have all that property out back, I would think that, and the roof's not great. I mean, it does point southeast. You have those dormers, so you're not going to put nearly as much solar on there as you would think, but it would be a decent amount of KW that would go on that roof. If we were going to go on the ground, that's fine, then the roof is kind of immaterial, and I would still go with shingles, but the ground-mounted solar is substantially more expensive than going on a roof. The cheapest installation for solar is on an asphalt roof. So, I'm still with shingles.
Yeah, the problem with the solar panels too is they would have to go in the front of the roof to get the southern exposure. So you're covering up all that. But I think land bank solar panels would be something we really should look at later. Like I said, it's an expense, and nobody's gonna see the back of the roof unless you drive there to do some business with the town. But you will see the front.
So is everybody in agreement that we're just sticking with asphalt? Okay, so I'm just gonna make it formal that we all decided that I'll make a motion that we are not awarding alternate 1, 6, or 7 from for the general trades contract.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just give me a second, because I gotta keep track of the numbers. Okay, on to alternate 2. This is to install the tile and carp. I don't know why I put carpet. It's to install the ceramic tiles or the vinyl tiles in the area where we're going to put the polished concrete. If you decide you want to do the tiles instead of the polished concrete, it's a savings of $14,000 from the base bid. You guys have the floor.
I like the tile. Yeah.
Tile.
Okay, so that was easy, wow.
Tile.
I'll make a motion that we award alternate two for the general trades contract to deduct $14,000 from the base bid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's hope they all go this easy. Aye, alternate 3 and 4 will kind of lump together. So alternate 3 is the 1.5-inch asphalt overlay in the rear. That's a increase of $60,000. And then you have alternate 4, which is the milling and the 1.5-inch asphalt overlay in the front, which is an increase of 112. Obviously, I think the common sense is that you wouldn't do just the back or just the front. So I'll add them together so the board knows what we're talking about if you decided to do this. 172,000 addition to the base bid to do it, so all you guys.
Do you also need to add in the 7,000 for the curbing then? I thought there,
We should do it.
Yeah.
We should do it, yeah, so if you're thinking about doing this one, it's really 179,000. All you guys.
It makes sense.
Well, okay.
To me, this
So
is
you
why
have
you
a
don't do the roof.
brand-new building and a crappy-looking
And a-
parking lot.
Yeah.
Right.
That just doesn't make sense. So I would say we should go for the milling and
just get it
redo
done.
it. Because just like you said, this parking lot out here, this is already starting to look
It's already starting to look yucky.
worn, and it's only been, what, a year and a half, 2 years max?
Yeah, I
2
think-
years, yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think this is why you're not doing metal roofs, so you can spend the money here. I would,
Okay.
what's the deal with the curbs, though? I do agree with the comment made about the curbs and asphalt curbs getting beat up. Does
Well,
this-
so I think the only option there would be going back to them and, do you want to talk about it? I mean,
So to do concrete curbs around the entire property would be a significant increase from just asphalt curbs, because with concrete curbs, you gotta remember, a lot of it's underground too. So you'd have to trench around the entire property, you'd have to form it up, you'd have to pour concrete. The expense on that, it would be significant compared to just asphalt curbing.
But in the front, we're gonna have this brand-new asphalt and these beat-up curbs, right?
no,
No.
the curves are being fixed and replaced with all of this. The
Okay.
concern is in the future, they might get beat up.
Let me explain something on that. These curbs are, everybody's going to these curbs now, these towns, because the plows can easily ride up on them a little bit better than just having a straight curb. They're kind of sloped. The other thing is, we are replacing the sidewalks in the back of the building, so that will be a haunch, it'll be a sidewalk curb combination, and we're doing the same thing in the front of the building. So the only blacktop curbs you're talking about around the perimeter going up the road on the right, and any spots that are loose or damaged on the exit side.
And that's gonna be low impact anyway, because it's parallel to the traffic, right?
Excuse me?
It's gonna be parallel to the flow of traffic anyway, so it's not gonna be
Yes,
an impact.
right.
And those curbs will not look like what you currently have out there. They have a profile that's almost kind of like a ramp. As it goes up, it rides over the existing asphalt. So it's not like you're just hitting it. The plow would be riding up the edge of it.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons they're getting away from the regular standard curb anymore.
They're trying to move away from that.
Yeah.
So.
Which alternates are they? 3,
it's,
4, and
3,
what?
4, and 8.
Okay,
So is everybody in agreement basically that we're gonna repave everything and do the curving? All right, so I'll make a
Yes.
motion that we do award alternate bid 3, alternate bid 4, and alternate bid 8 to the general trades bid package.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's see, alternate 5. So this is changing out the meeting room tiles from a 4x4 to a 2x2 acoustical tile. It will decrease the base bid by 19,000.
I'm not excited to look up at ceiling tiles, and it sounds like there was an issue with maintenance and replacing 4x4s, so I would go with the 2x2.
I agree.
Yeah, the 4x4s seem like really large.
So are we all in
I mean,
agreement
that's
that we
two
want
of
to take this alternate?
That's
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion that we award alternate bid number 5 for the general trades to deduct 19,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, we can skip over 6 and 7. Okay, 8 we did already. Aye, alternate 9 is replacing the wood in the ceiling in the courtroom with a 2x2 acoustical ceiling tile. That will decrease the base bid by 53,000.
I agree with that one.
Me too.
same.
All right, easy enough. So I'll make a motion that we award the alternate bid number 9 for the general trades contract to deduct 53,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I feel like this is a no-brainer, but does anybody actually want to award alternate bid 10 to pay more for court benches?
Not if they want to get reelected.
No.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we don't award alternate bid 10 to the general trades.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that's all I have, and I will try to tally up everything for the resolution. I appreciate it, guys.
Nice work.
That was really good, thank you. Okay. On, oh, well, honey, do I have to wait for him? Okay. On to many resolutions. Okay. Yeah. Like a motion for resolution number 1,100 of 2024, resolution amending the total funding allocation for the town hall renovation.
So moved.
Second.
And
All in
again,
fa- oh,
just
go
really
ahead.
quick, just
Go
this
ahead.
is amending the resolution that we did prior for 6.5. It's amending it to add another million, up to another million from unassigned fund balance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I think some of these will be good to explain, just to the people at home.
What's that?
I think some of these will be good to explain with a one-sentence explanation of
Yeah,
some of these.
that's very true.
And for some of the people on the board, like the guy 2 to your left.
Okay, I'd like a motion for resolution number 1,101, 2024, resolution awarding contracts for furnishing of all materials and labor necessary for the town hall and court renovation project located at 1903 US Route 44 in the town of Pleasant Valley, New York.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we need, yeah, I need to make a motion to amend this, so
Okay,
Wait till we,
just give me a sec.
so we can
Um,
just put it aside and then
we'll
go?
put it aside, we'll go back.
Okay.
I think I have
you
the
do all-
number.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I don't know if
Okay.
somebody wants to double check it, but I believe, I've done it twice.
I got that you need to add 93,000. You add
Which,
the 179.
which
and
makes
then
sense of what I
subtract the
have. Yep.
others. Yeah.
okay.
So what is it?
So I'll make a motion to amend this resolution to fill in the blanks. So the first blank says with the following alternates, it should be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 8, number 5, and number 9. And the second blank should be for a base bid plus alternates for a total of $3,033,000. Do I have a second for that amendment?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we just need to vote on the resolution.
We had a
As
first
amended.
and a second, right? Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, guys.
Do we still need Jonathan here?
No, Jonathan, you're good to go. Unless you really want to hang out. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, Jonathan. Okay, I'd like a motion for Resolution 1103 of 2024, resolution commencing the local law adoption for process for proposed local law C of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion for Resolution 1104 of 2024, resolution approving a Cablevision renewal agreement between Spectrum Northeast LLC and the town of Pleasant Valley.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion for Resolution 1105 of 2024, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to enter into a broadband infrastructure agreement with Spectrum Northeast LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Really quick before a vote, can we
Yes.
discuss?
Sure.
So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page here, is that for, it sounds like decades, these four houses have pleaded with the town and with the cable companies for internet and Wi-Fi and whatnot, with no success. And one of the functions of ARPA, which was,
Right.
came out during COVID, was a lot of people were doing classes, a lot of people were doing work, a lot of people were doing a lot of things besides watching television over the internet. So the federal government gave money to towns and municipalities to potentially, one of the reasons was to potentially help people get on the grid so they could participate in what the rest of society can do. I think it's a great thing that after decades that we can finally help these people and come to some sort of agreement with a huge corporation that I disagree with, but if we can actually help somebody finally, and it comes at zero cost to the taxpayers of our town, I think if it's not going to happen now, when's it going to happen? So I support this.
I 110% agree. These people waited too long.
They're going to be very happy.
Can
Okay,
I just ask Warren a question? Warren, did you determine that this was legal use because it's ARPA funds? Like, it wouldn't normally be something the town would pay for, right?
No, we wouldn't.
So this isn't something that we're gonna have to do again in the future, it's just because we have the ARPA funds
That's
available?
correct.
Yeah.
Thank you
Can
for
only
bringing
go
that
with
up.
ARPA funds.
Yeah, I think there's a precedent with it. It's listening to people that have a complaint and fixing it. For sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Like a motion for 1106 of 2024, amending Town Board Resolution 1016, 2024, appointment to the Board of Ethics.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Like a motion for Resolution 1107 of 2024, recreation programs discount for immediate family members of the Town of Pleasant Valley employees.
So moved.
Second.
We have decided to give all of our town employees a 30% discount for the programs offered for Pleasant Valley Recreation. All in favor?
Aye. I just want to make sure logistically, how does that work for town employees if they're interested? Does it happen through MyRec, or is it something they need to contact the rec director for? Just for
Right
any-
now, I would do it through the rec director,
Okay.
Nikki, yeah.
Can we
I'm
send
not
something
sure-
out to all the employees to make sure they're aware of
Yes,
this?
that, yeah, I just
And-
wanted to make sure it went through tonight first.
Can I just clarify, this is for only employees or coaches also?
No, no, no,
one's for
next one.
coaches.
Oh,
You're ahead of me. All in favor?
aye.
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 I'd like a
There we go.
motion for resolution number 1108 of 2024, recreation programs discount for children of active volunteer coaches for the town of Pleasant Valley.
So moved.
Second.
And this is where we are going to give an incentive to our coaches in the town who give nothing but free time to us all the time. And they're going to get a 50% discount on the registration fees for each eligible child of the head or assistant coach actively coaching.
Amazing.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's not retroactive.
Okay, I'd like a motion for resolution 1109 of 2024, appointment of the Town of Pleasant Valley basketball referees for the 2024-25 season.
So moved.
Just a comment on this. And just a reminder, these are kids of people that live in this community, so anybody watching at
Yes.
home, have these kids back, right? These are kids that, their parents live here, they live here. These are kids learning how to ref, and it's recreation. We're not,
And
let's
these-
just keep things in perspective.
Yeah, these are all
Yes.
children that have come through our program.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion for Resolution 1110 of 2024, resolution commencing the local law adoption process for proposed Law D of 2024, a local law creating a new Chapter 75 of the Town Code titled Short-Term Rentals.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would you like me
When are
to,
we doing the public hearing?
that'll be December 2nd.
Yeah.
Do you want me to explain what's in there, or
Sure.
wait till the next time?
Oh, no, you can, yeah.
Sure. So, this past spring, we spoke about a short-term rental law, and the board brought forward some questions and requests, and based on that, it was a little unclear which direction to go. Recently, there was a incident in a neighboring community that really brought the safety of these into focus. And so what this law does is it's kind of a first step to put a licensing process in place. So there wouldn't be a planning board review or a special use permit process. This is just a kind of a one-step process where anyone who wants to run a short-term rental would come in to the zoning department, and they'd have to get their rental inspected for fire safety and everything, and get a license. And if everything goes well, they could renew that license. If there are any problems, then they wouldn't. A few notes on what's in the law. It would allow the town board to set a maximum number of short-term rental permits. There would only be one short-term rental permit allowed per person. Each short-term rental would have a maximum of 2 people per bedroom for a maximum of 8 people total. No parties or gatherings that involve more than the max occupancy of the rental. So it's some kind of basic rules, just make sure everyone gets inspected and follows the rules.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to go back to Resolution 1103 with the proposed local law C for the dogs. And that is going to be on December 2nd also at 7 PM. And then the short-term rentals will be after that, and we put a time of 7:05.
Yeah, or whenever.
Or whenever it
first one's
goes,
finished,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'd like a motion for Resolution 1111, 2024, amending the 2024 general fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion for Resolution 1112 of 2024, authorizing payment of abstract number 11 of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like a motion for Resolution 1113 of 2024, authorizing payment of abstract number 11B of 2024.
This is just connected to the paving, right?
Yes, this is for all the roads that got paved this year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a town board resolution, I'd like a motion for 1114 of 2024, resolution authorizing the town bookkeeper to transfer $600 from the town account of A2610 to the account of the town of Pleasant Valley Justice Jeffrey S. Battistoni's Justice Fine account.
So moved.
Second.
This was done by accident, that's why we're transferring it back. I just want to let everybody know that. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for Resolution 1115 of 2024, resolution further amending 284 agreement for road repair and improvement.
So moved.
Second.
And this just increased the infrastructure reserve for this.
Yes.
That's all.
No, excuse me, no. This was for ARPA. We went from 247,410 to 205,537 to take care of our
Yeah.
residents.
Yeah, and we're taking it out of the infrastructure
Right.
reserve.
Right.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Like a motion for resolution number 1,116 of 2024, authorizing payment of abstract number 11P/2 of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like a motion for resolution 1,117 of 2024, resolution to solicit proposals for general engineering services and legal services.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like a motion for resolution 1,118 of 2024, commencing the local law adoption process for local law number E of the year 2024,
So moved.
which is for the ethics.
Second.
Sorry. And we will set this up for December 16th at 7:20, because we have a presentation that night. All in favor?
Aye.
So just to recap, there's two public hearings on the December 2nd,
December 2nd,
and then
yes.
there's one on the 16th.
And one on the 16th, yeah.
And the
We
two
had
on the
to br-
second are
We had
the-
to break it up,
Dogs and short-term rental on the 2nd.
Yes.
And the 16th is ethics.
yes. Yes. Okay, there are no items for special consideration this evening, so I'd like to motion to open up the public comment section of the meeting for new items only, non-agenda items for 3 minutes each.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
John Dunn, Netherwood Road. I hate to keep sounding like a dog with an old bone here, but have we gotten any kind of reading on the actual value of an assessment of that new Con Ed debacle that we have up there on the hill? Because I think that's going to provide revenue to the town, and I think that's something that we ought to.
Well, it
really
was
be looking at.
increased, but I cannot, for the life of me, remember the exact figures,
But I
but it
think I
was
heard it was
increased.
150.
2.8
Pardon?
million.
2 million some.
2.8 million was the number,
yeah.
which I want to do some more investigating on that.
Okay. Thank you. And by the way, great job on the town hall, guys.
And to answer that question, so that's next on my list. The 2.8, I believe, was just Van Wagner. It's not even talking about 44.
I don't think this is probably not in order, but there was talk about the state giving us a grant for money. Is that still in?
So the court can apply for a grant that's basically given to them every year. And if we didn't follow what their recommendations were, we would never be entitled to that grant. So because we took their recommendation, they can continue applying for that every year. It's not like a ridiculous, it's, I think $30,000, something around there. But we figured in the long run, it's probably beneficial that they can, because it's usually used for like technology and stuff that they need. So we didn't want to take that away from them.
I hope you improve the technology.
There are also, safety recommendations, so you kind of don't want to be in a position of not listening to them.
Scott Cookingham, Salt Point. I know when you were adding stuff up, Mr. Reifenberg, there, the alternate 2, 5, and 9 that you guys all approved, that's a minus 86,000, so it's $86,000 worth of credit you guys just made. So with you putting in the blacktop, that pays for the full blacktop in the back. So just so that people know at home that you saved everybody money. So between that, you know, you got the blacktop done in the back and it went towards some of the front. So that's all just, you know, great job. And then, you know, I agree with the roofing and that, it's a lot of money and stuff, so great job on it all.
Can I just come back on a comment on the assessment question?
Sure.
Okay, so, Mr. Dunn, great question. Nobody hold me to that number. I'll present something on that next week. I have the number. It's 2.8, 2.9, it's under 3. So the process for that, which I want to understand more, we can look into this. We can look into it pretty deeply, but it's not cheap and it's not free. There are organizations out there that actually do this. They specialize in utility assessments for power plants and substations. I'm going to get some information, I'll present it to the board and the public, and then we as a town are going to decide. But if we really want to look into this, we're going to be at a crossroads where are we willing to spend money to do this? Because it is a bit of a gamble. You don't know. They can talk all day long about how great they are. What I'm curious to know is, are there deals where we can make it where we don't pay them a dime unless we get a higher assessment, and then we give them a cut of the assessment, so they have skin in the game? But that's, it's out there. These things exist, so.
Well, I'll also I want to add into that, the idea that increasing their assessment is going to lower the taxpayers' input. There's homestead and non-homestead, so I would imagine they fall into the category of not our homes. So yes, would it lower the percentage that people within their category pay? Absolutely, but the residential parcels within our town that the taxpayers see on their tax bill, I believe, if I've read it correctly, is that if we increase their their assessment, it really won't make any difference to the residential tax bill, because they're two separate
Well, that's what I've been
buckets.
heard too, is just because of the number, but that's the question of what the assessment value is. But I think you'd have to have a pretty massive assessment even to move the needle.
Because it's going to lower the tax bills for commercial property, so are the residents and the taxpayers willing to take on the cost to do that,
Right.
to lower the tax bills for commercial property? And that's a question you have to ask, but it's a complicated situation.
With that, Mr. Deegan, when you're looking at that one, maybe just see what the one on 44 is appraised for, you know, just to give you
Should be
somewhat,
both.
right, that's all.
Yep. There was progress made, because when I had this conversation 6 months ago, I essentially asked for it to be explained to me like they were explaining it to a fifth grader. And I said, give me just 10 years, and what did we have for assessment? And it was a flat line. That actually has changed in the last year, where there is now a number, so, but I need to learn more about it.
Hearing no other comments, I ask for a motion to close the public comment section.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are going to enter into executive session for an attorney-client privilege. No, it's only 5 minutes. 5
Do we
minutes.
have to make a motion?
5 minutes.
So
Can I
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Kinda.
Thank you all for coming.
I make a motion that we come out of attorney-client, whatever we did.
Second?
Attorney-client,
All in,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.